If you found yourself here watching this video, I want to say something directly to your heart and to your soul, and that is, don't fall back asleep in the dream. Don't let yourself stay in that hypnotized reality where your past keeps defining your future, where your fears, your anxiety, your struggles, your lack is just the dominant thought all day long. Don't let yourself fall back into the dream spell where you're just doing the same thing day after day, feeling buried, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you have no power over your life. That is where the system wants you. And I want to remind you that it's not about making the system evil or demonizing it. It is part of the game for us to choose to become sovereign, free, happy, joyful, expressive beings on the earth plane. Everything around us is designed to put us in that hypnotic place of consuming and cycling through our repetitive old thoughts, disconnected from the gnosis of who you truly are. And I'm not even saying any of this as like a motivational thing. I want you to know, if you're watching this, you are alive during a very special point in the human story. And you're here for a reason. And my intention with this video is to invite you to take a seat at the table. When I was a kid, I was the oldest on both sides of my family, all my siblings, all my cousins, and I was told to sit at the kids' table so that I could, be the leader of the table, keep things in line, blah, blah, blah. And all I wanted for the longest time was to be invited to the adult table, to be seen as an adult, to be seen not as a child anymore. And I think about that now, that strong desire to not be held back in that kid's place. I think we can all relate to that, right? We all wanted to grow up. We all wanted to have that freedom where we didn't feel constrained and we didn't feel like we were held down. But I want to say that this is the time to take your seat beyond the kids' table. The kids' table in this metaphor is the table where the caterpillars sit. It's the table where people are living a life that's not who they are. They have a mask on, their program runs the show, their emotions of yesterday dictate their future, and they feel powerless to it. And so they try to cope with it in any way that they can. They complain, they share victim stories, they are just getting by and in that place of survival and bonding with others at the table through that experience. Right? I remember my old office, it was like people would bond through complaining. That was like how they knew how to do it. That's the kids' table, right? You feel separate. You feel like you and life are disconnected. You're little me. You're stuck in the little me perception. Why? Because you're in survival. And that's what the consciousness of survival does. It makes you go within and it shrinks all that is into a tiny little bubble of your little world. And you don't feel part of the big picture. And so I want to remind you that now is your time to choose to take your seat at the cosmic table, at the participation of life table. Why? Because whether you want to believe it or not, you are a part of that. You were chosen to be here. There's a reason that you're alive, again, during one of the most pivotal times on planet Earth that there's ever been. A massive shift in consciousness going on, which we can see the divide of right now, right? There's the people that are choosing to stay asleep, and choosing to stay in fear and victimhood. And there's the people that are starting to take their seat at the big kids table, at the adults table, I should say. Because at this table, you know that what you have to share has value. You know that you are a piece of the puzzle. And what happens when a 10,000 piece puzzle is missing one piece? It doesn't get completed. And in this case, an 8 billion something piece puzzle. You are a part of that. Whether you want to accept that responsibility or not, you want to avoid it, run away from it, you can. But that's you. What if you decide to take your seat at the table and claim your sovereignty, claim your place in all of life, and realize that what you were born with, what is in your heart, what excites you, what brings a sense of passion, that uniqueness that you have, that song that only you have. If you can bring that to the table, what bigger contribution to humanity could you possibly make? Because at this table, everybody lets their light shine. Everybody is equal. Everybody has something of value to add. Everybody's sharing their ideas. At the kids' table, the caterpillar table, consuming, mindlessly wandering around, just getting by, on the ground level, cannot see the bigger picture. At this table, the cosmic adults table, butterflies. Butterflies that are all in the knowingness of the grandness of it all, and they're rolling it. At this table, you're not ruled by your emotions. You're not judging other people and what their ideas are. You're not making them less than you. You realize that you're all equal. And you can see the value that everyone brings. Everyone is welcome at this table if you choose it. You have a say in the future of humanity. Your healing is my healing. It's all of our healing. To the degree that you give yourself permission to shine your light, you become a fantastically bright light for all of those around you. When I was in elementary school, we read this book called Johnny Tremaine. For those of you who grew up in the 90s, maybe you're familiar with that. It's the story of a young boy who grew up in Boston during the pre-Revolutionary War. And he so badly wanted to feel like he was playing a role, like he was part of this thing. And I remember as a kid reading about how he started to find his way into the likes of some of the forefathers, like John Hancock and Sam Adams and John Quincy Adams and Paul Revere, Benjamin Franklin. And I remember reading that as a kid and being like, wow, how exciting was that? He was in the Boston Tea Party. He was like part of this huge revolution that freed America. It all started in that place in Boston where I grew up. And I had this sense of like, I want to participate like that. I want to be part of something big like that. And I think about it now, all these years later, and I say, wow, I'm actually in that now. No matter what you're doing in your life, no matter what your circumstances look like, the fact that you're here, you are Johnny Tremaine. You do have a say. You have an opportunity to participate in the unfolding of this story in magnificent ways. You just being you and radiating that essence, smiling at people, showing people that there's something beyond struggle and lack and anxiety and fear. Giving other people permission to be themselves because you're doing it. As Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. Anything that you think that you're lacking, become the source of that. Through the power of your choice, you have the ability to participate in this unfolding any way that you want, to whatever degree feels right for you. And here's the thing. When you choose that, you're surrendering to something greater than your little sense of self. You're surrendering to the role that life will ask of you. And you don't know exactly what that is, but you trust it. You go with it. You follow it step by step, and there's nothing you need to worry about. You just keep asking the question every day, life, what do you need from me? How can I serve? How can I be an instrument of the divine today? And then you let it go, and you live, and you enjoy yourself. But at this table, you're not making choices from fear anymore. You make your choices from your heart. You speak, you communicate from your heart. You're not afraid to be vulnerable because you're not worried about how others see you, because you recognize that those who judge you are at a level of consciousness where they can't see outside of that yet. But because maybe you've done the work and you've expanded yourself and you're on that upper floor, you can see beyond that. And you can see when people are in that, and you don't judge them because you know they're just simply operating at the level that they're at. We all want to be able to see from that greater perspective. No one really wants to be cycling through bullshit struggles every day, complaining, being in that place of victim. And if they do, it's because they're getting some emotional need met. Somehow they're getting some version of love that they need through that, because they don't know a way beyond that. And this is why, again, at this table, you stop taking things personally, because you recognize nothing is personal. It's like as you get closer to all that is, to God, to the universe, to that higher frequency, it gets less and less personal. Because this is free choice. But even that's an interesting conversation, because how free is the choice of people that are very steeped in trauma and victimhood and fear? How much are they actually able to choose beyond that? Ignorance is bliss, people say. And I think there's truth to that, of course. This is a paradoxical universe. There's paradoxes everywhere you look. All truths are true if you believe it. I look at my own life, and every single day, it is so easy, even for someone who's been doing the work for a long time and who helps others to go through this process and to become more of themselves and to stay awake. If I don't set up my day with reminders of who I am and where I'm going, I am very susceptible of getting pulled back into the old ways and falling back asleep. I can find myself in a place of disempowerment that is so dark, and then minutes later, pull myself back out and be in the light. It's like a roller coaster. But part of the challenge of this game that we're in is, can you keep yourself awake? Can you keep yourself conscious and present? And it's not like you have to do it every second of the day. But with our phones and these devices and how many ways there are to numb out and disengage from life in the present moment, and the temptation that's always there at your fingertips, it makes it very challenging, because it can be very impulsive. All of a sudden, you grab your phone to not feel something, and you're looking at content, or you're looking at whatever for like an hour or two, and you're like, where did the time go? And you realize you were hypnotized. So the point of this video is to not go back to sleep. Remind yourself every day of who you are and what it is that you're building. Take your seat at the table and recognize your value and your worth. Tune in to the knowingness that you are a piece of this puzzle. And maybe you don't know exactly how that fits in yet, but you keep invoking it and you ask the question. Or you command, you say, show me. Okay, life, I'm ready to serve in the greatest way that I can. Show me what that is. And then rather than staying in the stress of like, what am I doing? And how is it that I'm going to serve? And I don't know my purpose. Because what can life do with that? It just has to hold the mirror and say, you don't have your purpose. But when you ask and you stay open to receive, that is a much different story. That's a cosmic table, sovereign being quality and attribute, not a caterpillar kids table attribute. The caterpillar kids table stays in lack. Oh, I don't have my purpose. What am I doing here? Oh. And then loops that all day. It's okay. Like, it's part of the process. You'll find yourself in that. But the detrimental aspect of it is looping in it and putting your attention on it, which makes you a victim and actually takes you out of the gnosis of your part in this play. By the way, again, a play that you get to decide your role, which then does turn into the surrender of life directing you in that way. This is a special time to be alive. We have our own very unique challenges, right? That our ancestors didn't have. They were focused on survival stuff, physical aspects of things, handling the material world. And now for us, it's a mental battle. You have a media that wants to keep your attention. You have, as I've said in other videos, corporations and conglomerates that have billions of dollars that use all of that to develop ways to hold your attention away from what's important, to keep you glued to their platforms. It's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of who you are and your willpower to say no to that, to not get sucked into that, which is why we have to remind ourselves every single day, in whatever way that you can, whatever it is that you need to do to keep your fire stoked, make sure that you do that. It's the most important thing we can do for ourselves. To continually ground back in and anchor ourselves back in. Because it's so easy to float upstairs, get in the mind, get anxious, get caught in the collective psyche of everybody, which is for the most part fear, worry, doubt. We are building the bridge to the new world. All of us, right now. We're building the bridge to an entirely new era, a new human. Our intuition is being birthed in front of us right now. We had to use our heads for a while and our intellect to get us here. Great. And now it's destructive. And now our intellect is holding us back. The heart and the mind have got to come together. The imagination has got to stay open. It's connected to your inner child, your sense of play, wonder, awe, that lets you dream a new dream and doesn't shoot down possibilities. It can't be done. I've never had it before. How can I possibly do this? It's going to take all this time, all this blah, 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 all the limitations. The logic will argue for those. The imagination is like, we can dream whatever we want. And you becoming the embodiment of this, of someone who has brought the masculine and feminine together, right? Look at so many men in this world. You even say the word feminine and they immediately go to gender. Oh, that's feminine. Oh my God, that guy's showing emotion. That's a feminine quality. Like that's what women do. They don't realize that half of their energetic expression is the feminine principle. It's not a gender thing. It's receiving, it's the imagination, it's the openness, the relaxation. Because if you're not relaxed, you can't receive. You can't get the intuitive downloads from the higher mind that will guide you to the next level. If you're just in your logic, you're in problem, reaction, solution. You're in the problem consciousness where you're fixated on solving a problem. You're defining a problem, and you don't even realize that you're just creating it over and over. As Einstein said, you can't solve a problem from the level of the problem. Your intuition, your feminine aspect, the womb of creation where all possibilities exist. The conscious mind, which you could say is the masculine, is just meant to choose. The inner child's supposed to be allowed to dream, and then the masculine part of us says, hey, I can make that happen. I can ground that into three-dimensional reality. Here's how we can do that. But instead, it's turned into this mechanism of, that can't be done. That's not possible. We've never done it before. It's just constant doubt. So again, my invitation with this video, my friends, my soul family, we're all connected. We're all one. We're all part of the same deal. Don't let yourself fall back asleep. Don't let your life pass you by because you're unknowingly numbing out and getting hypnotized and kept at the caterpillar kids table. Let yourself claim again and again and again every single day your seat at the cosmic sovereign beings table, the butterfly table, where you have a say where this goes. What you choose to do now will affect future generations beyond just your family. For all of us. You are that powerful. Your impact is that great. You don't realize how far that goes. Look at the butterfly effect, right? The wings of a butterfly flapping on one part of the world can cause a fucking hurricane or a tsunami in the other part. You don't realize that because we don't see it. But it's true. You have value inside of you that is beyond anything your logical mind could ever understand. Beyond all the doubt and all the fear that keeps you distracted, wanting to get away from that light. Simply because we have a deep-seated fear in our genetic code that's like, if we shine our light, bad things happen. We get kicked out of the group. We're not loved anymore. Can you, in the face of that, because this is what happens at that adult's table. Everybody's doing this together. Everybody's moving beyond the doubt and the fear and saying, what if we all step into our power and shine our light? What would that be like? And you don't have to worry about getting kicked out of your community and ostracized because you're in a community doing it with other people. And guess what? That then amplifies in greater ways beyond anything we could imagine, beyond trying to do it just on our own. It's an amplification of that new possibility that then bridges the gap and launches humanity into that next phase of our evolution, where the intuition is guiding us to. There's a mutation going on inside of us right now. A lot of us are fighting it. Other people are starting to open up and embrace it and letting the old self die. The part of you that was terrified to go through this process is dying. It's the goo phase of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. This is literally happening for many people right now. And if you don't have context, it's terrifying. You think something's wrong with you. You think you got to go check yourself into a mental ward. No. It's all part of the process. And my intention is that you can feel that as I'm saying these words, the truth behind that. You can say, I don't resonate with that. That doesn't feel truthful to me. And that's the game you get to play. That will be true for you. And you can resist, and you can fight, and you can struggle, and you'll be dragged through the mud. Because I believe that nobody's going to get left behind. And one way or another, in this lifetime or the next, the choice will be made. But I want to ground us into you can choose it right now and do it in this lifetime. Do it for yourself, for your family, for your community, because you are worthy of living a joyful experience, an authentic experience where you feel like you, and you're in a powerful place. The doubt is gone, and when it shows up, you just smile at it. The fear is gone because you know there actually isn't death. You are forever. No end, no beginning, beyond linear time and space. Having an endless journey. That's you. So why not get curious about what's inside of you and what that looks like beyond the programming, beyond the survival conditioning, beyond the fear? That's the world that I'm excited about. And it starts within each and every one of us. So, my friends, it's time to take your seat. It's time to be Johnny Tremaine and recognize that you are a part of something massive right now. A change in our world that's with this many people has never occurred before like this. It's a very special time, and you were selected to be here by life. Your puzzle piece has a role to play in all of this. And you either align with that and you get that, or you pretend that you're little me and you're just trying to survive and get by, and you don't see the greater picture. You're on the ground floor level instead of at the penthouse suite at the top, seeing the beautiful views. You're caught down in the ground floor with the loud noises and the flashing lights and the material distractions and the smog and people rushing around. Take a breath. And let yourself start to rise your consciousness to that greater perspective, that higher octave, which you can only get there through peacefulness, through entering the right side of your brain, through meditation, walks in nature, contemplation, asking yourself the bigger questions. Again, whatever it is that you need to do to not fall back asleep, you gotta do it. That's the time that we're in. It's so easy to forget. It's so easy to get distracted. It takes a constant reclaiming over and over and over, choosing every single day that you're going to be awake and you're going to embrace this life. You're going to go full out. You're going to be yourself. So that's my message for today, and sending big love to all you beautiful souls out there. It's an honor to be alive with you during this time, and I will see you soon.